That guy right there, that's Timmy Brown. You might know him from the classic TV show MASH. But Timmy Brown was far more than just an actor. He was a legend in Eagles history, one of the greatest to ever take the field. And yet there's a darker side to his story. The side that helped ignite one of the most brutal, relentless rivalries in all of sports.
Timmy Brown takes it, and 60,000 spectators come to their feet as Tim weaves through the first wave of Browns, skips away from a tackler at the 30, gets a diving block from Dick Luke.
What a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys and Eagles rivalry is how this rivalry started. October 9th, 1966.
The famed Cotton Bowl, located in the center of the State Fair Midway, invaded by football fans, some 70,000 in number, to watch the unbeaten Dallas Cowboys, the Eastern Conference co-leaders, meet the Philadelphia Eagles.
The Dallas Cowboys didn't just win. They crushed Philadelphia 56-7 right in Dallas's own backyard. By the end of the first quarter, the Cowboys were already up 21-0, a clear statement that this night was going to be a nightmare for the Eagles. You gotta understand that back then only division winners made the playoffs. Dallas ended the season with 10 wins. Philly was just one game behind. That brutal blowout essentially ended the Eagles' playoffs hopes in the cruelest way possible.
For the Eagles, Joe Kuharich and young owner Jerry Wallman, it was a dark day in Dallas. Final score, Eagles 7, Dallas 56, their highest point total ever.
But the story didn't end there.
Marked the beginning of a new era in Philadelphia Eagle history. New owner Jerry Wallman left no avenue unexplored in an effort to revitalize the Eagles. Veteran coach Joe Kuharich took over the reins and instigated a bold rebuilding program.
Joe Kuharich, the Eagles head coach at the time, couldn't shake the feeling that Tom Landry was running up the score. In the papers, Landry said that he pulled his starters early because he didn't like to embarrass other teams. And if you go back and watch the game, he actually did pull his starters early.
3rd down and 4 situation now. We pick up the action as Jerry Rome rolls.
But Kuharich didn't buy it. In fact, on the week of the rematch, he made the entire team watch the tape of that game over and over again, turning their humiliation into rage and obsession. But what happened next thickened the plot. Leading up to that comeback game, the Cowboys found themselves flagged more than usual. 25 penalties in 3 weeks. This was one of the most watched games of the 1966 season.
Philadelphia may be the city of brotherly love, but not where the Dallas Cowboys are concerned. A month ago, the Cowboys dealt the Eagles a humiliating 56-7 thrashing. The word for the day at Franklin Field is revenge.
During the rematch, the Cowboys once again dominated the numbers. I mean dominated. Yardage, first downs, ball control, everything pointed to a Dallas rout. But Philly had a trick up their sleeve. Timmy Brown, the Eagles star, returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns. One for 93 yards and another for 90. Aaron Martin added a 67-yard punt return for a touchdown, but their offense barely crossed midfield. Only 6 yards of offense in the entire first half and 74 yards in the second. They only had 5 first downs in the entire game. They had 1 first down going into the half, yet somehow they still led the game. And yet, against every logical expectation, the Eagles squeaked out a 24-23 victory. What happened? Well, there's a lot of rumors, like how many flags that went in Philly's favor at crucial moments in the ball game, especially at the end. A late hit on Dallas's Bob Lilly that extended the drive, a wiped interception that should have ended the game. Every call felt like it was tilted in the Eagles' way. The Cowboys and their fans were outraged, convinced the refs were in the pocket for Philadelphia. But eventually, the tension exploded. When Dallas running back Dan Reeves, furious after a play he thought should have been dead, chased down an official and knocked him over.
Gets away from Scarpati, and now Medved and Nettles make the tackle. And Joe Scarpati steals the football from Reeves. Scarpati hitting back upfield for the Eagles is finally tackled, but he has the football. There was no whistle. It was a stolen ball. This could ensure the Eagles' victory.
Reeves was ejected and fined. He would later say he still thought the whistle should have been blown.
And the game ball? Well, it just has to go to number 22, Tim Brown, who set an NFL record by returning 2 kickoffs for touchdowns.
The darkness only deepened in 1967, when rumors flew that Dallas had put a bounty on Timmy Brown. Cowboys linebacker Leroy Jordan leveled Brown with a crushing elbow to the face, breaking his jaw and knocking out 6 teeth. The play drew just a 15-yard penalty, but Brown's season was over. This crushed Brown's spirit to where he was never the same after that hit. Brown had to drink liquids for about 2 months after that hit, and he retired about a year later.
I never intended to knock his teeth out, but I intended to knock his head off.
He really whacked him, and boy, they were all after Leroy from then on.
For the next several years, I played each game trying to protect myself and survive the games more than play the games.
Was that a bounty on Jordan? I'm not sure, I don't know. But those were different times, different rules, and different men playing football. It just shows you the incredible physicality that the Eagles and Dallas had during their rivalries in the 60s. Total, absolutely, violence.
And the pitch out on 1st and 10 with the
That game marked the end of the rivalry as being mere competition. From that moment on, Dallas and Philadelphia weren't just opponents. They weren't just rivalries. They were sworn enemies. The score settled for neither side. And by the 70s, Dallas was America's team.
A jewel mounted in the flatlands of Dallas was the finest football facility in the world.
But Philly wasn't backing down. One thing that you can always count on was the Eagles gearing up to play the Dallas Cowboys in the 70s, regardless of their record.
Dallas is the #1 rival. Dallas is the team that they hate. Dallas is the team that they point to all year. And what bothers them is that they don't feel that that's reciprocated.
We always wanted to beat the Dallas Cowboys in the worst way, and I think it almost got to the point where we wanted to beat them so bad we hated them.
Well, everybody hated the Cowboys in those days, for sure, because we won and we were clean, and Philadelphia lost and they were dirty.
You won, Dallas!
They absolutely despised us.
We hate you!
They pointed at the camera and they said, "We hate you. We hate you."
And in the game in 1972, there was nothing different. The cycle of payback surfaced again when Eagles Mel Tom leveled Cowboys quarterback Roger Staubach.
In the films, Mel Tom really gave me a dirty shot, forearmed him behind the head, and I was out like a light. They had a meeting up at the commissioner's office, and Tom kept denying that he hit me. And of course, then he saw it on the film. I think they fined him $1,000.
Reportedly, as revenge for Brown's broken face years before. Years of late hits, cheap shots, and ugly fights followed. This wasn't just a football game. This was a brutal cage match out of some UFC wrestling rules. Here's a game in 1974 that was probably the most violent game I have ever seen.
And the pitch out on 1st and 10 goes to Robert Newhouse. Newhouse hit at the line of scrimmage, but squirms loose and dropped the ball, but...
Look at this brutal play on the Cowboys running back Robert Newhouse. He's being clotheslined while someone is pulling his face mask. Yet, no call, no penalty. Look at the hit on his back by the defensive lineman. Right in the spine. You would think that would be the game for Newhouse, right? I mean, if we compare that to the running backs of today, just a simple hit on the ankle can sometimes put a running back out of the game. But Newhouse came right back in and ran even harder.
Cowboys, clock ticking away here in the first quarter, no score. Newhouse with a big hole, first down and more. Newhouse inside the 40 of the Newhouse running away from his blockers and picking up yardage.
Here Drew Pearson caught a pass over the middle and gets clobbered by 3 Eagle players. Look at him, you can tell that he's in pain. But on the next play, he went right back in the middle of the field. This was insane. But if you thought that was crazy, listen to this.
Gabriel going to Zimmerman, picked off, Charlie Waters picks it off. As a firecracker goes off in our booth, I hope it was.
Some fan threw a firecracker in the announcer's booth during the game.
To the 30-yard I don't know who threw that thing in this booth. If anybody did. But it is not an evidence of civilized procedure. You all right, Alex?
Well, let me get my head out of the wall right here and I'll be okay. Wow. I just leaped 14 feet in the air.
I know you did.
They initially thought it was a gunshot, but still, a lit firecracker exploding on national television in the announcer's booth? Only in the 70s can this happen. Here, one of the Eagle players throws a punch to the throat. But listen to what the announcers had to say about this.
There's no question that these teams hate each other. And watch Charlie Smith get a nice little popper. Number 85. Watch him give a little pop. Left of your screen. Watch it now. Wacko! Let's get it one more time. I love this. This is football, folks. Wacko.
No way does he get away with saying that today. Look, the ref is right there looking. But no penalty. You just blew his whistle to tell him to stop fighting. This was a classic wild 70s game between two teams who hated each other. For those of you who are interested, I'll put up the link in the description box. In 1975, the rivalry was greater than ever. Some fans still remember a cheap late hit from the Eagles defensive end, Carl Hairston, on Starback that knocked them out of the game. The Cowboys never forgot those moments and tried hard to return the favor, but Eagles quarterback Ron Jaworski always managed to shake them off, at least until 1979, when Harvey Martin slammed them hard, knocking him out of the game.
1st and 10. Down he goes, Harvey Martin. Martin's 5th sack of the year.
Oh, no, Jaworski's hurt. Oh, no. No. And that's the shoulder, I'm afraid, because Harvey came right around him, pushed him awfully hard, man.
The next season, Dennis Thurman laid a brutal hit on Harold Carmichael along the sidelines.
Oh, has it knocked away as Thurman puts a hit. Steve Wilson.
But Carmichael was out of bounds when he took that shot. Knocked down and knocked out.
This wasn't just a brutal hit, but the streak ended Carmichael's amazing 127th streak of games with a reception. Just listen to the sound.
Montgomery, the throw.
The 1980 NFC Championship wasn't just about the Eagles winning. It was about how they won. And one of the ways they won was based on a conspiracy about jerseys.
For the Dallas Cowboys, Super Bowl V lives in infamy. It was a game that left America's team feeling blue and perhaps chased. Before a rule change that allowed the home team to choose its Super Bowl jersey color, the Cowboys were forced to abandon their traditional white jerseys. So on that fateful day in the Orange Bowl, they wore uncharacteristic blue and were plagued by uncharacteristic miscues. Even legendary Tom Landry wasn't immune. He bypassed Roger Staubach in favor of Craig Morton. And in the end, a clutch Colts kick put them out of their misery.
The kick is up and is long enough.
They've gone on to play in 7 more Super Bowls, winning 5 of them. And they've never worn blue in the big game since.
The blue jersey jinx. Before that season's NFC Championship game in Philadelphia, Eagles coach Dick Vermeil pulled a psychological move. As the home team, he chose to wear white jerseys, forcing Dallas to wear their less favored blue ones, linked to a so-called jinx.
That's some roll with Tom Brookshire. The Eagles are in white, and the Cowboys in that blue attire that there has been so much controversy about.
That year, Dallas had lost 3 of 4 games in blue. But it gets stranger. When you look at their all-time record in the color, the Dallas Cowboys was just 10-10 in that color. Vermeil hoped that the change would get in their heads. Tom Landry called it psychological warfare, and Tex Schramm mocked the idea. But when the game kicked off, the Eagles backed it up, beating Dallas 20-7 to reach the Super Bowl.
The NFC Championship belongs to the folks in green and white.
Now that's some weird stuff for you. The Buddy Ryan era and the Bounty Bowls.
It's a great pleasure for me to introduce to you the next coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Buddy Ryan.
When Buddy Ryan became the Eagles head coach in 1986, things got flat out nasty. And this is when the rivalry took a whole nother approach. Ryan didn't just want to beat Dallas. He wanted to embarrass them. For some reason, he had an internal hatred for the Dallas Cowboys. Anything that dealt with their fan base, the way they coached, the way they played, he just didn't like their style. I mean, Buddy Ryan hardly liked anyone's style, but he really didn't like Dallas. In a newspaper in 1987, one of Ryan's sons shared what his father thought of Dallas before moving to Philadelphia. When he went to the Eagles, me and my brothers laughed because he'd get to play them twice every year. See, I know Dad doesn't like Dallas's finesse philosophy. He loves Randy White, but that's about the only guy he likes on Dallas. And what happens next is about to really showcase this.
Once again, professional athletes are preparing to perform on a picket line.
Of course, nobody wants a strike, including the players.
Everybody's going to lose if we go on strike.
No strike! No strike!
The NFL owners promise stadiums will not remain empty, even if it means replacing strikers.
Hopefully it won't come to scab games and picket signs.
The real key is going to be the solidarity of the players.
I'd be heartbroken if the players kept their word on that. I don't believe they will.
We can't sit around and wait and hope for miracles to happen. We know what the strike date is, September 22nd. At this point, we have no choice but to prepare for the worst.
During the 1987 strike, Dallas had several starters cross the picket line early.
I feel like it's in my best interest to go to work,
giving them a strong squad, while the Eagles had to use mostly replacement players.
Few were welcome at the vet today. Some 2,000 union members joined forces with the striking Eagle. It was supposed to be peaceful.
How do you feel about bringing your kids in here? These sons of...
But by noon, it got out of hand.
I just want to see a football game. I just got hit in the back of the head down at that gate down there. That's this one over here. That's real, you know.
The Cowboys crushed them 41-22 in Texas.
So a kind of a strange day in Big D when they booed Danny White, they booed Tony Dorsett, but they cheered the fact that the Cowboy replacements roll over the Eagles 41-22.
Ryan accused Dallas of running up the score, even though he'd done the same before in Chicago in 1985, when they ran up the score 44-0 on Thanksgiving Day. Read what Ryan said that week in an interview. Ryan says, maybe that 44-0 game was why he did it, but here I am with a bunch of ragtag guys who couldn't even wash cars, and he's got half his team there, and we get down to the 10-yard line, and he's already played his front four, and then he puts them back in. That still burns my butt off. But you see, Ryan never forgot. When the strike ended and the full rosters were restored, he circled the rematch.
Oh yeah, Danny White has become the target of the Eagles' frustration. Every Eagle defender you talk to says, we have to shut down Danny White. He's our target. He was one of those veterans that crossed the line.
In December at Veterans Stadium, with the Eagles up late, he ordered Randall Cunningham to launch a bomb instead of taking the knee.
Some closeness during that period, and a victory here today over Dallas certainly will only improve that. Now Cunningham's going to throw it to Quick, and it is a flag down on the incompletion in the end zone. 2 seconds remain on the clock. Franks has had the coverage for the Cowboys. If you ask Buddy Ryan, did you try and rub it in? I don't think there'd be any question. Absolutely. He did not forget what happened 2 weeks ago when Tom Landry put Tony Dorsett and Danny White in the football game. Now, Tom's intentions may have been just to get his veterans some work, but Buddy Ryan obviously didn't feel that way. He said, to heck with it. Let's go after him. This is a little salt in the wound job. What really irked Ryan that day was the first-team defense of those veterans, Randy White and Jones and Smirek.
He then scored a touchdown in a deliberate scheme to run up the score.
Lead and time winding down. If there wasn't bad blood before, there's going to be bad blood now. Fire. Buddy Ryan may have just become Texas's public enemy #1. There you see the look. Just wonder what's going through his mind.
This wasn't a question, this wasn't a rumor, this was facts. The Eagles won 37-20, but the statement mattered more than the score. To Eagles fans, it was Ryan's revenge, a message that the Cowboys were paid for embarrassing Philadelphia during the strike. To Cowboys fans, it was proof that Buddy Ryan wasn't just a coach, he was an enemy. But if you thought the rivalry was deep then, wait till you hear what happens next. The Bounty Bowl won Thanksgiving Day 1989, Texas Stadium. The Eagles shut out Dallas 27-0. It wasn't just a loss, it was ugly. Cowboys coach Jimmy Johnson accused Ryan of putting a $200 bounty on kicker Luis Zendejas and a $500 bounty on quarterback Troy Aikman.
When you take away from the integrity of the game, having bounties on opposing players is not the way it's supposed to be done. We were told last night by a coach, and it was confirmed by 2 different players. There's a $200 bounty on Luis Zendejas a $500 bounty on Troy Aikman.
Oh, no, he's hurt.
Yeah, he's down.
The kicking team. We're going to take it on from the end of the run, 15 yards and a first down.
The Eagles sent someone after Zendejas. That's probably what he was arguing about. He wasn't going down, but I don't think that he knows what he's arguing about.
I don't think so either, not right now at least.
Johnson, their coach, is making all kinds of excuses for not preparing his team well to play us.
Ryan laughed it off in the press, but Zendejas said he'd heard Ryan reward players for heavy hits back when he was in the Eagles, so this wasn't new. This was actually a Buddy Ryan thing. Bounty Bowl 2. Just 2 weeks later in Philly, things exploded. The Eagles won 20-10, but the real story was in the stands. Fans threw snowballs, ice, and beer at Cowboys players. Jimmy Johnson had to be escorted off the field by police. Vern Lundquist and Terry Bradshaw were pelted in the head while on air.
I gotta tell you what a joy it is to come to Philadelphia and stand here and dodge ice balls, about 25 of which have been thrown into the booth in the last 3 minutes. This is really fun.
I'm way back behind the wall here because 3 have already hit me in the top of the head.
Here comes another one flying out. Watch it, David.
The NFL later ordered more security and banned alcohol for the rest of that year's Eagles home games. But alcohol didn't have anything to do with what happened. You see, now, here's the backstory in this.
It was a snowfall picture postcards are made of, the wet snow clinging to trees, coloring the brown scenery in shades of white and gray.
A snowstorm had rolled through the city over the weekend, and league officials instructed the Eagles grounds crew to clear the snow from the stands before kickoff.
And why this damn stadium wasn't cleaned up in a proper manner before this game, understanding the reality of this game, this was an embarrassment.
But when fans poured in, the snow was still there. And quite frankly, this wasn't even snow at all. This was ice.
I got hit in the head with an ice ball about the size of a football that came down from the 700 level.
Some accused the Eagles front office of deliberately leaving it untouched, knowing what might happen. And sure enough, as the game unfolded, Dallas players, coaches, and officials on the sideline were pelted with snowballs, even batteries, and whatever else fans could get their hands on. It was a legitimate assault from fans in the stands.
Security guards arrested or ejected more than 100 people at today's game. The Dallas Cowboys, on their way to the locker room, couldn't hang their heads if they wanted to. They were too busy looking skyward.
Yeah, the Eagles won the game 20-10, but the snow barrage stole the headlines. By 1990, the venom between Buddy Ryan's Eagles and Jimmy Johnson's Cowboys had gone well past the field. That summer, Ryan had a health scare at a team dinner when he nearly choked on a pork chop. True story. He recovered quickly, but in this rivalry, even near tragedies were turned into ammunition. Word got to Dallas, and longtime Cowboys GM Tex Schramm, who was no longer on the team at the time, never one to resist a little gamemanship, made sure the story circulated. Some said he even nudged local media and fans with a wink, knowing full well how it would play when Philadelphia came back to town. When the Eagles next walked into Texas Stadium, they were greeted not just by boos, but by flying pork chops. Real flying pork chops. Raw, cooked, wrapped in foil. They rained down from the stands as Cowboys fans mocked the Philly coach who nearly met us in at the dinner table. Crazy, right? Absolutely. Memorable? Without question. Buddy, who thrived on chaos, laughed it off later, but the message was clear. In this rivalry, nothing was sacred. Schramm's quiet instigation, the fans' over-the-top trolling, and Ryan's own larger-than-life persona all combined to turn a simple meal into an unforgettable chapter. For Cowboys fans, it was a way to needle the man they loved to hate, and for Eagles fans, it was proof that Buddy lived rent-free in Dallas's head. From Timmy Brown's jaw-shattering hit to bounties, to snowballs, to pork chops, every decade has added new chapters to the Cowboys-Eagles war. For both fan bases, no slights is forgiven and no win is ever enough. Every game feels like more than a game. It's another chance to settle old scores that truthfully will never be settled. I think this up-and-coming opener against the Eagles will be another one of those games that will be remembered for a very long time. Dallas can make a huge statement in this game that can echo throughout the rest of the season and who knows, even beyond. Finally, Cowboys Nation, Football is back. Until next time, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And as always, thanks for watching.